You have been sitting in smoke for roughly 500,000 years. Not metaphorically, literally, physically, your ancestors breathed smoke every single day for hundreds of thousands of years. And your brain, your modern, self-important, cathedral-building brain, is still running the same ancient software. Case file open. The question is not when humans started smoking cigarettes. That's recent, embarrassingly recent. The real question is, why did it stick? Why does smoke hook us so completely? And for that, you need to go much further back. Let's set the scene. About 400,000 years ago, Homo heidelbergensis, a heavy-browed, barrel-chested ancestor you would not want to meet in a narrow cave. These people had fire, not occasionally, not as a novelty, routinely, deliberately, every night. We have archaeological evidence of controlled fire use going back at least 780,000 years at a site called Gesher Benot Yaakov in Israel. 780,000 years. Let that land. Every night, for nearly 1,000,000 years, your ancestors gathered around a fire, and fire, as you know, produces smoke, not politely drifting away in the wind, sitting around them, in their eyes, in their lungs, coating everything they touched. Now, here is the part that changes how you think about this. Smoke is not just unpleasant particulate matter, it contains compounds, active compounds. Burning plant matter releases alkaloids, phenols, benzodiazepine-like compounds, things that cross the blood-brain barrier and do things, including, importantly, low doses of nicotine from wild tobacco relatives and other solanaceae plants burning in campfire fuel. Your ancestors were not smoking cigarettes, but they were every night receiving low-level neurochemical hits from the fire. And over hundreds of thousands of years, those brains that found the fire pleasant, calming, focusing, socially rewarding, survived and reproduced. This is the hypothesis put forward by researchers, including anthropologist Dennis Bramble. Fireside neurochemistry may have been a selection pressure on the human brain itself. We didn't just use fire, we co-evolved with it. Let's talk about what smoke actually does inside your head, because this is where it gets interesting. Nicotine binds to acetylcholine receptors, specifically nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, which are named after nicotine, not the other way around. These receptors exist throughout your nervous system and your brain. They are not a bug, they are core infrastructure. When nicotine hits these receptors, your brain releases dopamine, specifically in the mesolimbic pathway, the reward circuit. Dopamine is the molecule of "that was good, do it again." It is your brain telling you something mattered. Now here is the evolutionary wrinkle. Your dopamine system evolved to reward things that actually helped you survive. Food, sex, social bonding, safety. Fire gave you all four: cooked food, warmth and safety, a social gathering point, and, it turns out, a mild neurochemical reward on top. Your dopamine system learned, across geological time, that smoke means good things are happening. Smoke equals safety. Smoke equals social reward. Smoke equals nourishment. So, when, 400,000 years later, someone hands you a burning roll of concentrated nicotine and lights it, your ancient brain does not think danger. It thinks home. That is the deep architecture. Now, let's talk about the social layer, because it's just as important, and it's been there just as long. The campfire is arguably the first human social institution. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied the Kalahari Jew Huansi Bushmen and documented something remarkable. Around evening fires, the social behavior of humans completely changes. During the day, practical conversation, task coordination, information exchange, who has food, where is the water? Around the fire at night, storytelling, ritual, songs, relationship building, social norms, the entire software of culture running on firelight. This is where religion was probably born, where law was negotiated, where identity was formed, in the smoke. Now, here is where the smoke and the chemistry overlap in a way that is almost poetically unfair to modern humans. Nicotine, even at campfire doses, modestly enhances attention and working memory. It is a genuine cognitive tool. Specifically, it upregulates acetylcholine signaling, which means faster neural processing, sharper focus, slightly better short-term recall. For a hunter-gatherer tracking prey, planning a hunt, remembering where the water source was 3 valleys over, that is not nothing. Low-dose fire exposure may have given a real cognitive edge to individuals whose brains responded well to it. Natural selection, operating over millennia, does not care about your lungs. It cares about whether your genes make it to the next generation. If the fire-sensitive brain reproduced better, the fire-sensitive brain became standard equipment, which means you. Now let's talk about nicotine in the wild, before the cigarette, because humans were already deliberately seeking it out. Indigenous peoples across every continent where nicotine-containing plants grew, the Americas, Australia, Africa, developed traditions of using them independently, without talking to each other, chewing, snuffing, burning, drinking as a tea. The method varied. The drive to get the molecule was a constant. In the Americas, tobacco use goes back at least 12,000 years based on residue analysis of ancient pipes, possibly much further. A 2021 study published in Nature Human Behavior pushed that date back even further, finding wild tobacco seed residues in a fire pit in Utah dating to 12,300 years ago. The researchers noted this predates any cultivated tobacco by thousands of years. Humans were hunting wild tobacco the way they hunted game, and in Australia, the Pintupi people traditionally chewed pituri, a native plant containing nicotine and nornicotine, mixed with ash to increase absorption. The ash buffered the pH of the mouth to maximize how much nicotine crossed the mucous membranes. These people had worked out basic bioavailability chemistry without a laboratory. That is not accidental. That is a culture spending generations optimizing a drug delivery system empirically through trial and observation. Now let's fast forward, because this is where the story turns dark. The cigarette arrives. The commercial cigarette, as we know it, is roughly 160 years old. The cigarette rolling machine was patented in 1881. Before that, tobacco was smoked in pipes, chewed or snuffed, not mass-produced, not industrially delivered, not engineered. The cigarette was a delivery system optimization, like the Pituri people with their ash, but done industrially, at scale, for profit. And tobacco companies, it turned out, were not passive about this. They actively engineered their product to be more addictive. Ammonia, levulinic acid, menthol, added to increase how quickly nicotine crosses into the bloodstream and hits the brain. The delivery speed matters enormously. The faster the nicotine hits the brain, the more addictive the hit. A cigarette delivers nicotine to the brain in about 7 seconds. Your ancient campfire exposure did it over the course of an entire evening. 7 seconds versus 6 hours. That gap is the entire addiction problem. The ancient wiring was calibrated for slow, low-dose exposure in a social context. The cigarette delivers a concentrated hit at industrial speed. Your dopamine system was not built for this. It was built for the campfire. It cannot distinguish between the two. So, when that cigarette arrives, your reward circuit lights up and files it away under extremely important survival behavior. Do again, do again, do again. And because acetylcholine receptors are plastic, they upregulate when chronically stimulated. You now need the nicotine just to feel baseline normal. This is why withdrawal feels like the world has gone flat and grey. You have more receptors than you started with, and almost none of them are filled. The campfire did not do this to you. You could walk away from a campfire. There was no campfire withdrawal. The campfire was the environment. You couldn't take it with you. The natural dose was capped by physics. The cigarette removed that cap. You can now carry the campfire in your pocket and light it whenever the craving hits. And the social reinforcement layer makes it worse. Because humans smoked socially for millennia, the social cue and the nicotine hit became neurologically bundled. A cigarette break is not just a drug delivery mechanism. It is a structured social ritual that mirrors almost exactly what the campfire provided. Brief communal pause, shared ritual object, mild neurochemical reward, social bonding, a timeout from the demands of the day. We rebuilt the campfire outside the office and called it a smoke break. The host stands deadpan between the two panels. Now, a point of scientific precision here. The smoker's selection pressure hypothesis is still a hypothesis. Robust, compelling, well-supported, but not settled science. What is settled? The ancient fire exposure is real. The nicotinic acetylcholine receptor system is real. The cross-cultural independent emergence of nicotine use is real. The most parsimonious explanation connecting all three of those facts is We were shaped by smoke before we ever chose to smoke. There is also a stress angle worth examining because it is the most common reason people report for smoking in modern life. Nicotine activates the adrenal medulla and triggers a small cortisol and adrenaline release. Counterintuitively, this is what gives the sensation of calming down. This sounds contradictory. More stress hormones make you calmer. The mechanism is that the cortisol response raises your baseline arousal level, which feels regulated after withdrawals below baseline crash. You are not calming yourself down with nicotine. You are recovering from nicotine. The cigarette fixes what the last cigarette broke. This is one of the tidiest cons in human biology. Now, the modern world. Because all of this ancient wiring is running in a context it was never designed for. Humans evolved in small, high-trust social groups, maybe 50 to 150 people, where belonging to the group was the difference between life and death. Chronic modern stress, isolation, information overload, a social world too large and too fast for our hardware, pushes exactly the same ancient levers. And when those levers are pushed, the brain reaches for the fastest available route to the reward circuit, whatever has been filed under campfire. And this is why nicotine replacement therapy works, because it addresses the chemistry. But why it so often fails to fully replace the cigarette, because it does not address the ritual. The patch fills the receptor. It does not give you a campfire. The most effective quit interventions tend to be the ones that substitute the entire ritual, not just the molecule. Social support groups, exercise, mindfulness breaks, a reason to pause and breathe with others. In other words, find a new campfire, which is also, incidentally, why bonfires at parties and fire pits in gardens became so popular the moment humans had enough disposable time to maintain one recreationally. We built apps and skyscrapers and got to the moon, and then we went home and stared into a fire, because that is what we are. Fire animals, smoke animals. We spent most of our evolutionary history sitting in the smoke, and we liked it. So, when did ancient humans start smoking? The honest answer is, before they were fully human, before they had language, before they had burial rites, before they had art. The smoke came first. Everything else was built around the fire. Cigarettes did not create the human relationship with smoke. They exploited one that was already 500,000 years old. You were not weak. You were not lacking willpower. You were running software written over hundreds of thousands of years, and someone fed it pure signal at industrial speed. That is not a moral failing. That is an engineering problem. And understanding the evolutionary engineering is the beginning of having any real power over it. You are a fire animal in a world that has industrialized the fire. File that. Case closed. If this file was worth opening, the subscribe button is right there, and next week we open another one.